Welcome to the English with Kirsty podcast from www.englishwithkirsty.com. Here I'll be sharing with you tips, information and other learning resources so that you can improve your business English. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of English with Kirsty. And as I said last week, that I have an announcement, and the announcement is that we have an English with Kirsty Christmas prize draw. So there are 6 prizes that you can win. All you have to do is to go to the show notes page, so www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 21. And there is the form to enter the prize draw. So you just have to fill in your name, your email address so that I can contact you to tell you if you've won. And that's all you do. Just read through the terms and conditions and then just send it off. So there are 6 prizes that you can win. And the first prize is a writing course. So it's a 5-week writing course and you get individual feedback about the writing that you've done from me. So it's going to be offline, so you don't need to come to any online meetings. You just do the writing, email it to me, and I will give you feedback and help you to improve your English. So that's worth £100, and there's one of those to win. Then there are 2 free grammar lessons that you can win. So people who win those can just go and choose from 10 possible grammar lessons, and then you choose the one that you want to win. So that's with me, that's an online lesson, and that's worth £30. And then there are 3 15-day audio courses to help you improve your email writing. So they come on weekdays, so every day for 15 days you get access to a web page, and on there there's audio from me talking about a topic to do with email and how you can improve your emails, and there is also written information on there, so the key points or any new vocabulary. So all in all there are 6 prizes, 1 writing course, 2 grammar courses or grammar sessions I should say, grammar modules, and 3 email writing courses. So all you have to do is go to www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 21 and enter the prize draw there. So good luck, and I'm looking forward to receiving lots of entries. And now on to the rest of the episode. So this week we're going to look at mistakes. Not just any mistakes that I made as a language learner, because if we can talk about them and the things that I did that weren't particularly helpful, then maybe it will help you not to make those mistakes as well. So as well as the mistakes, I'm going to talk about some things that you can do to avoid making the same mistakes that I did. Because I think it's important, I think it's really good if teachers, particularly teachers who are teaching languages, also learn other languages themselves, because then you know some of the problems that your students face or how they feel in certain situations because you've been there yourself. So I was a language learner long before I was a teacher, because obviously we had to learn languages at school, and they were some of my favourite subjects. I really enjoyed them. And then obviously as an adult I went on to learn more languages. But I made some mistakes, and I'm going to talk about 5 of them here. So the first one is that I only focused on the things that I enjoyed and that I could do well. So I am somebody who does enjoy reading. So yeah, reading tasks were quite fun for me, and listening, I tend to have quite good listening skills. So once I get the basic vocabulary of a language, it's not so hard for me to pick up what people are saying. But my biggest area of weakness, particularly at the beginning of learning languages, was speaking. I hated speaking. And there was a lot of reasons for that, like feeling nervous, not wanting to look stupid, not wanting to make mistakes, loads of things. But the bottom line was I hated speaking. And I noticed that I was quite proactive as a language learner. I wouldn't just go to my lessons and then put all my books away and never look at them again. I did like to do things in my spare time to work on my language skills, but they were usually geared towards things that I enjoyed. Writing was okay too, because then you had time to check things and look them up. So all of these things, apart from speaking, And I found the problem was that the more I focused on the things that I was good at and the things that I enjoyed, I was getting further and further behind with the thing that I didn't enjoy because I wasn't giving it enough time. It was harder for me. It was not so much fun, and therefore I always found a reason to do something else other than the thing that I really needed to work on. So just as a bit of advice, look at your overall language skills. Think about the things that you're good at. But if there's something that you're not quite so good at, don't leave that and never do it because it's not much fun. Don't let it get further behind. And try to set yourself a goal. If you don't set any other goals, set a goal specifically about the thing that you aren't as good at. It may not be one of these skills. It may be something like vocabulary learning or doing your homework for class, or learning grammar rules or something. It can be different things for different people. For me, it was speaking, so I made sure that I had a goal each week to speak to someone for so many minutes in the language that I was learning. And I tried to do that every week. Whatever else I did, anything else was a bonus, but if I had to do this one thing to really meet my goal, because that was the area in which I was struggling. Okay, number 2, trying to learn every new word. So you can get to the point where you think, oh, I don't know what this is. I need to look this up. I'm going to add it to my list. And I had a massive list of words, and it was ridiculous. Nobody can learn as many words as I had on my original list. But then I looked at my list and thought, actually, when was the last time I used this word in English? It was a very long time ago, if I even have used it in the last year or so. So it's good to be selective with the words that come onto your vocabulary list, because thinking about it honestly, you're not going to learn every new word and remember it. Because learning something for a test, I was really good at passing vocabulary tests because I've got a good short-term memory, so I could commit all this information to my short-term memory. But then the next week, if I had the same test, I would do considerably worse on it because that information hadn't remained in my short-term memory after I thought I didn't need it anymore. You know, the teacher suddenly produced another test and then I was stuck. So the idea with vocabulary learning is to commit the words to your long-term memory, and you have a better chance of doing that if they're words that you are likely to use again, or to build into conversations or into writing, or to see them in the information that you're looking at. So try and be selective with the words. If there's something that you really don't need, then don't bother learning it. Learn a word that is going to be more useful to you. You don't have to know every word. So in the end, I developed a new list and just pulled out the words that I thought would be useful and would come up again. And then I wrote them on the list, and I also wrote them in context if I could. So where did I see this word? Because then you look and think about collocations and words that usually are used at the same time. So what preposition goes with this word? That kind of thing. Because then you can learn to use the word in context. So number 3, choosing the wrong learning materials. So this is about thinking about what's going to be useful for you. Maybe it could be choosing a book that will help you to study, or choosing articles to read on the internet, or texts, or videos, or podcasts. But if you do work outside of your lessons, which is a good thing because it shows that you're spending more time on your language learning, pay attention to how difficult that material is. Because if it's too easy, it will probably make you feel good, and it may just be a way to relax and you can pick up some new words. That's not such a big deal, although you won't make so much progress if you choose materials that are too easy. But if it's too hard, you can end up getting really depressed and think, oh, I can't do this, my language skills are not good enough, I'm never going to be good enough, because what you've chosen to do is too hard. And I remember doing this and getting really frustrated with a text that I couldn't translate it. I was trying to translate it back into English, and in the end I got so fed up with it. I looked for an English translation because it was a website that produced information in multiple languages, and when I found the English translation, I had to laugh really, because I'd be getting so stressed about this text, and the text was full of engineering vocabulary. I'm not an engineer. I'm not sure I would have understood some of those words in English, so it's hardly surprising that I couldn't translate this text into English. So you can't always tell when you start a text what it's going to be like, and obviously it helps if you can get advice from a teacher or from other people about good things to read, but if something appears to be ridiculously difficult, then don't keep pushing through. I mean, it's good to have a challenge, but if something's just way past your level at the moment, then it will be difficult, and it's not always the best exercise just to keep pushing through it till the end, because it may just not be a very good text to read. Number 4 is taking things personally. This is not a good thing to do, because sometimes you may say something in the other language that is just hilarious, and it's not that the other person is laughing at you. Well, then if they are, then they're probably not somebody you want to practice with anyway. But you know, sometimes things are funny when people hear things expressed in a different way than they would. Misunderstandings happen when people are both speaking the same native language, so try not to take things personally if there is a misunderstanding or if a conversation doesn't go as well as you had hoped. I can only think of a couple of times in my language learning experience that people have been outwardly unhelpful, and you know, then the idea is just to move on, because it's more of a reflection on them than it is on you if they're being unhelpful because you're a language learner. And without getting into what exactly happened, in both cases there were people that didn't speak any other languages apart from their own, and they don't know how hard it is because they don't have that experience. So number 5 is not realizing how far you've come, because you can be really driven and focused and motivated as a student of another language, and you can be good at setting goals. I mean, I had my list of things that I wanted to achieve, but as soon as I did achieve something, then I ticked it off the list and I was ready with the next plan of action. What do I want to do now? And although it's good to always be looking forwards and to try to improve yourself and all these things, they're great, but you shouldn't forget how far you've come, because you know you don't enjoy your success if you're always just focused on the next thing you want to do. You don't realize how much you've learned or how much you've improved since this time last year or something like that. So although it's good to have goals and plans for what you want to achieve with your language learning, it's also good just to look back and think, yeah, I couldn't do this time last month. I can do it now. That's great. And just to feel good about yourself, because that will motivate you when you can see the progress that you've made and not just the things that you want to do. It's a really good motivator to make you want to go on and learn more things. Oh, I said 5, but I've thought of one more, so I'm going to enter that in here. Being a perfectionist is something that you think, at first I thought it was a good thing, so make sure that my sentences are right and make sure that I learn to do things exactly as they should be. But there are times when being a perfectionist can hold you back, particularly with speaking, because I would wait until something was 100% right, and if it wasn't right I wouldn't say it. And these things can be more of a hindrance to learning, because if you let yourself be tied up by fear because you won't make that step, and even if you don't know exactly whether what you're going to say is going to be right or not, you know, sometimes you just need to take the risk. And people who tend towards perfectionism sometimes find it harder to take risks. I know that I did, and I know that sometimes I came away from conversations wishing I'd said so much more if I'd had the courage just to say what I was thinking, because it may well have been right, and even if it wasn't, I'm sure I could have got my idea across even if the words weren't 100% right. So it doesn't have to be 100% right as long as you are making progress. I still strive for perfection, but I try not to let this need for perfection drive me and prevent me from doing things, because that's not a good thing. So we've got a number of things there. Making sure that the materials are the right ones for you, making sure that you're learning the right words, focusing on the things that you're not quite so good at so that you keep them at the same level, as the things that you are good at, you make progress in the same way. And I'd be interested to hear your stories. So are there things that you've struggled with that you now have made progress in because you realized the problem and done something about it? What mistakes have you made as a language learner, and what changes have you made to the way that you do things? Or maybe what mistakes are you making that you'd like some help with? So some ideas about how to change that behavior, because a lot of the time it is behavior that we get into, like my perfectionism thing, and sometimes we don't see it. It's not like a mistake in a text that somebody can underline and tell you what it should be. It's a mistake in the way we think or the way we behave. So you can write to me, you can let me know your thoughts about that on the show notes page, which is at www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast/episode 21. And while you're there, you can also enter the English with Kirsty Christmas prize draw. So have a great week, and I'll be back next week with some more tips and information for you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the English with Kirsty podcast. If you have any questions or comments, my email address is kirsty@englishwithkirsty.com, or you can go to www.englishwithkirsty.com/podcast, where you'll find information about the individual episodes.